All right, here are the last three that have those instructions. This is number 32. I kind of cut it off there. And number 33. Okay, so this is very similar to one that we did earlier. Again, this line is congruent to itself. So when I've got all three sides are congruent to each other, then we have a side, side, side. All right, this one is actually a little tricky. You kind of have to look at it closely. Here we have a side angle side, and here we don't. We've got two sides just like this one, and we have an angle, but they're not in the same order. And these are not, we would have to have this side right here, these tick marks over here, for these two to be congruent. So these are not congruent. And then over here, if we were able to take this triangle and physically move it and put it like this, because these angles are congruent and these angles are congruent, these sides are congruent, and these sides are congruent, this triangle is congruent by either the angle side angle or side angle side. All right. Lastly, we need to show that ABC is congruent to ADC by using the side, side, side congruence theorem. And they gave you a very critical piece. If they didn't give this to you, we wouldn't be able to do this. And that is that AC bisects BD. And since AC bisects BD, we know that this piece is congruent to that piece because it cuts it right in half, right? So let's start matching up the things that are congruent to each other. All right, we've got, and what I wrote this on, you'll see this on the key that I put on Canvas. But we've got, since AC bisects BD, then we have BC is congruent to DC. So that's one of our sides, okay? Also, we know that AB is congruent to AD. So that's another side. And then we know that AC is congruent to itself. And that's my third side. So this is how I showed that these two triangles are congruent by the side, side, side theorem. All right, and then lastly, number 36, we're going to show that these two are congruent. And we know that since 90 degrees plus 90 degrees equals 180 degrees, and 180 degrees is the angle of a straight line, then we know that, how did I put that? Oh, that both triangles are right triangles. Okay, so we can put a little marking right there that shows it's a right triangle. All right, and we're showing this by the angle side angle congruence theorem. And so what we can show here, and they don't have these named differently, so we actually need to write them out, these angles. So angle ADB is congruent, so ADB is congruent to CDB, angle CDB, so that's one of my angles. Okay, BD is congruent to itself, so there's my side. And then lastly, I have these two right triangles, and so I can say CBD CBD is congruent to ABD. And that is another angle. So that's how we show that this triangle, that these two triangles are congruent by ASA. And that's exactly what I'm going to be looking for on the test. So like usual, if you've got questions, let me know. I want you to do well on the test, and we'll get the test out early next week. Thanks.